Jake rubbed his eyes and looked at the clock on his desk. Another boring morning on Europa Station. He'd been living alone on this ice moon for 6 months now, studying weird bacteria that lived under the frozen surface. Most days, nothing exciting happened at all. He was making his morning coffee when a loud crash made him jump. The whole station shook like someone had dropped a truck outside. Jake ran to the window and couldn't believe what he saw. A small silver ship was sitting in the snow, smoking and sparking with broken parts scattered everywhere. What the heck? Jake grabbed his spacesuit and ran outside. The ship looked nothing like the Earth ships he knew. It was smooth and curved, almost like it was grown instead of built. Strange blue lights flickered along its sides, getting dimmer by the second. Jake found a door that had popped open from the crash. Inside, the ship was warm and glowing with soft purple light. Everything looked alive somehow, like the walls were, breathing. And there, lying on what looked like a bed made of crystal, was the most amazing thing Jake had ever seen. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her skin had a gentle blue glow, like moonlight on water. Her hair was long and silver, and when she opened her eyes, they were huge and sparkled like stars. She was definitely not from Earth. The girl tried to sit up but winced in pain. She looked at Jake with those big eyes and said something in a language that sounded like music. Then she touched a small device on her wrist, and suddenly Jake could understand her. "Please help me," she said, her voice soft and scared. "My ship is dying." Jake's heart was beating fast. A real alien, and she needed his help. "Don't worry," he said, trying to sound calm. "I'm Jake. I live here. Let me help you." The girl smiled, and her skin glowed a little brighter. "I am Kira from the planet Lyros. My ship crashed in your storm." Jake carefully helped Kira stand up. She was hurt, but could walk. Looking around her ship, he could see that many things were broken. Lights were going out, and the air was getting cold. "Your ship won't last long," Jake said. "You need to come to my station until we can fix this." Kira nodded. "You are very kind, Jake from Earth." They walked slowly back to the station. Kira kept looking around in wonder at the ice and rocks of Europa. "Your moon is so different from my world," she said. "We have crystal cities and warm lakes." Inside the station, Jake showed Kira around. It wasn't very big. Just a few rooms for living, working, and storing supplies. When they got to his bedroom, Kira looked confused. "Where do I rest?" she asked. Jake felt his face get red. He hadn't thought about this problem. "Well, this is my bed," he said, pointing to his small sleeping area. "I guess I could sleep on the couch and you could sleep here." Kira tilted her head like a curious cat. "You have only one sleeping place?" "Yeah, just one bed. I live alone here. On my world, we share warmth when we sleep. It keeps us safe and happy." Kira looked at the bed, then at Jake. "There is room for both of us, yes?" Jake's eyes went wide. Share a bed with an alien girl he just met? "Oh, no. No. Humans don't. I mean, we usually sleep alone unless we're—" He stopped talking, not sure how to explain. Kira looked hurt. "Did I say something wrong? On Lyros, sharing warmth is normal between friends." "It's not wrong," Jake said quickly. "It's just different. Humans need space when they sleep. It's hard to explain." That evening, Jake set up a wall of blankets down the middle of his bed. "See, now we each have our own side," he explained. Kira examined the blanket wall with great interest. She poked it gently, making it wobble. "This thin barrier will keep us apart?" "It's not about keeping apart. It's about privacy. Personal space." "Personal space," Kira repeated slowly, like she was learning a new word. "Humans are very strange." Jake laughed despite feeling nervous. "I guess we are." As they got ready for bed, Jake couldn't help but notice how Kira moved. She was graceful like a dancer, and her skin gave off just enough light to see by. When she was happy or curious, the glow got brighter. When she was sad or tired, it got dimmer. Your light changes with your feelings, Jake observed. Yes. All Lyrians glow with their emotions. Can you not see feelings on other humans? Not like that. We show feelings with our faces and voices. Kira studied Jake's face carefully. I am still learning to read human expressions. They are very subtle. They both lay down on their sides of the blanket wall. Jake stared at the ceiling, very aware that there was an alien girl just 2 feet away from him. Her soft glow made moving shadows on the walls. Jake? Kira's voice was quiet in the darkness. Yeah? Thank you for helping me. I was very scared when my ship crashed. You don't need to thank me. Anyone would have helped. I do not think that is true. Many beings fear what is different. Jake thought about that. She was right. If their positions were switched, would everyone help a strange alien? He wasn't sure. Well, you don't seem scary to me, he said. Kira's glow got a little warmer. You do not seem scary either, Jake from Earth. They were quiet for a while. Jake was just starting to fall asleep when he felt the blanket wall move slightly. He opened his eyes and saw that Kira had moved closer to the barrier. Kira, you okay? It is very cold on your moon. On Lyros, we stay warm together. Jake felt bad. Of course she was cold. Her home planet was probably much warmer than this frozen place. But what could he do? The whole blanket wall thing was already weird enough. I can get you more blankets, he offered. That would be helpful. Thank you. Jake got up and piled every spare blanket he had on Kira's side of the bed. She snuggled under them gratefully, her glow dimming as she relaxed. Better? Jake asked. Much better. Humans are very thoughtful. Get some sleep, Kira. Tomorrow we'll start fixing your ship. Good night, Jake from Earth. Good night, Kira from Lyros. Jake lay back down, but sleep didn't come easily. His mind was spinning with questions. How did she learn English? Were there more aliens out there? Why had she crashed on Europa of all places? But the biggest question in his mind was simpler. What was he going to do when her ship was fixed and she had to leave? The soft sound of Kira's breathing eventually helped Jake drift off to sleep. And if he dreamed of glowing crystal cities and warm alien lakes, well, that was probably normal after the strangest day of his life. Outside, Kira's broken ship sat silent in the snow, its lights finally going dark. But inside the warm station, 2 very different beings from 2 very different worlds were learning that maybe they weren't so different after all. Jake woke up feeling warmer than usual. That was weird because the heating system in the station was always set to the same temperature. He opened his eyes slowly and nearly jumped out of his skin. The blanket wall was gone. Somehow, during the night, all the blankets had gotten tangled up and pushed to one side, and Kira was right there next to him, curled up like a cat, her blue glowing skin just inches away from his arm. Oh no, oh no, oh no, Jake whispered, trying not to move. How did this happen? He'd built that wall so carefully. Kira stirred and opened her big starry eyes. When she saw Jake looking panicked, she smiled sleepily. Good morning, Jake. I slept very well. Did you? Kira, we're the blankets. Jake couldn't form a complete sentence. She looked confused. Is something wrong? You look upset. Jake carefully scooted away from her, trying not to be rude about it. The blanket wall fell down. We were sleeping really close together. Yes, it was very nice, much warmer. Kira sat up and stretched, completely unbothered. On Lyros, families and friends always share sleeping warmth. It shows trust and care. But we're not, we just met yesterday, Jake said, his face turning red. Kira's glow dimmed a little. Did I do something to offend you? I thought we were becoming friends. Jake saw that he'd hurt her feelings and felt terrible. No, you didn't offend me. It's just humans are different. We only sleep close to people we know really, really well. How well must you know someone? Kira asked, genuinely curious. Jake thought about how to explain this without making it weird. Well, usually only family members or people who are special to each other. Special how? This conversation was getting more complicated by the minute. Like people who love each other romantically. Kira tilted her head. What is romantically? Jake wanted to crawl under a rock. How do you explain romance to an alien? It's when two people care about each other in a deeper way than friends. They want to spend their whole lives together. Oh, Kira said thoughtfully. On Lyros, we show all love the same way, with closeness and shared warmth. We do not separate different types of caring like humans do. After breakfast, they went outside to look at Kira's damaged ship. In the daylight, Jake could see how badly it was hurt. The hull had big cracks, and one of the wing-like parts was completely broken off. Can you fix it? Jake asked. Kira walked around the ship, touching different parts gently. Yes, but it will take many days. Maybe a week. As they worked together to drag broken pieces inside the station, Jake noticed something odd. Kira kept getting really close to him. When she handed him tools, her fingers would brush against his hand. When she wanted to show him something, she'd put her hand on his arm. When she talked to him, she'd stand so close he could feel the warmth from her glowing skin. At first, Jake kept stepping back automatically. Every time she got close, he'd move away without thinking about it. But he started noticing that every time he did this, Kira's glow would dim a little, and she'd look sad. Around lunchtime, Kira was examining a broken part with a strange device that looked like a crystal ball. Jake watched her work, fascinated by how the device glowed and changed colors. "This is beautiful," Jake said, leaning in to get a better look. Without thinking, Kira put her hand on his shoulder to steady herself as she showed him the device. "See how the colors change? Each color tells me what is broken." But Jake had jumped away again, and Kira's hand fell back to her side. This time, her glow didn't just dim, it went almost completely dark. "I am sorry," she said quietly. "I keep forgetting your human rules about touching." Jake felt like the worst person in the galaxy. "Kira, wait. I'm the one who should be sorry." "No. You are being kind by letting me stay here. I should not make you uncomfortable with my strange ways." "Your ways aren't strange," Jake said. "They're just different from mine. And I think maybe I need to learn about different ways." That afternoon, they worked on repairing some of the station's equipment that had been damaged in the crash. Kira turned out to be incredibly smart about technology. She could look at broken machines and immediately know how to fix them. "How do you know so much about this stuff?" Jake asked, watching her repair a computer with tools that looked like they belonged in a fairy tale. "All Lyrians learn to work with technology from childhood. We grow our machines like plants, so we must understand them like living things." "Grow them? Like from seeds?" Kira smiled, and her glow brightened. "Not seeds like your plants. We use special crystals that learn and change. Watch." She pulled a small blue crystal from her pocket. When she touched it gently and whispered something in her musical language, the crystal began to change shape, growing tiny branches like a tree. "That's incredible," Jake breathed, forgetting all about personal space as he leaned in close to see better. This time, when Kira put her hand on his arm to guide him closer, Jake didn't pull away. Her touch was warm and gentle, and somehow it made him feel calmer instead of nervous. "You did not move away," Kira observed happily. "Yeah, I guess I didn't," Jake said, realizing he actually liked having her close. "Maybe I'm learning." As the day went on, Jake found himself relaxing more and more around Kira's casual touches. When she handed him things, he didn't jerk his hand away. When she stood close to explain something, he stayed put. And every time he did, her glow got a little brighter and warmer. During dinner, Kira asked about human customs. If touching shows special love for humans, how do you show regular friendship? Well, friends might hug sometimes or shake hands or pat each other on the back, Jake explained. May I try a human friendship hug? Jake hesitated for just a second, then nodded. Sure. Kira stood up and very carefully put her arms around Jake in a gentle hug. It was different from her casual touches, more formal, like she was trying to follow human rules. But it felt nice. How was that? She asked when she stepped back. Perfect, Jake said, and meant it. That night, as they got ready for bed, Jake rebuilt the blanket wall, but this time he made it a little shorter. Is this acceptable? Kira asked, looking at the smaller barrier. It's a compromise, Jake said. We're both learning each other's ways. As they settled down to sleep, Jake found himself thinking about how wrong he'd been that morning. Kira's closeness wasn't weird or uncomfortable. It was just different. And maybe different wasn't such a bad thing. Jake? Kira's voice was soft in the darkness. Yeah? Thank you for learning my ways. It makes me feel less alone. Thank you for being patient with my weird human hang-ups. Kira giggled, a sound like tiny bells. Humans are very complicated. You have no idea, Jake said, and for the first time since the crash, he fell asleep easily, comforted by the gentle glow of his new alien friend just on the other side of their compromise wall. The third day started with good news. Jake and Kira had figured out how to work together perfectly. She would use her crystal tools to identify problems, and he would use his human engineering skills to fix them. They made a great team. Your station's power system is very interesting, Kira said, studying a control panel with her glowing scanner. It's much simpler than our technology, but also more reliable. Jake felt proud hearing that. We humans like to build things that last. Sometimes simple is better than fancy. They spent the morning repairing damage from the crash. Kira's ship had hit the station's communication array when it landed, which explained why Jake hadn't been able to contact Earth for help. Working side by side, they slowly got everything back online. There, Jake said, tightening the last bolt. Try it now. Kira touched her crystal device to the repaired antenna. Immediately, it began glowing bright green. Success! Your communication system is working again. Jake turned on the radio and immediately heard the familiar crackling of space. Static. Then a voice came through. Mission control back on Earth. Europa Station, this is Houston. We've been trying to reach you for 3 days. What's your status? Jake looked at Kira nervously. What should he tell them? That he had an alien living with him? That might cause all kinds of problems. Houston, this is Europa Station. Sorry for the silence. We had some equipment failures after a meteor impact, but everything's working fine now. Copy that, Europa. Are you injured? Do you need assistance? Negative, Houston. I'm fine, and handling repairs myself. After he signed off, Kira looked curious. Why did you not tell them about me? Jake sat down heavily. Because I don't know what they do. Some humans are scared of things they don't understand. They might want to take you away for experiments or something. Kira's glow dimmed with worry. Do you think they would hurt me? I won't let anyone hurt you, Jake said firmly, surprising himself with how protective he felt. But maybe we should keep you secret for now, until we figure out the best way to introduce you to my people. That afternoon, dark clouds gathered outside. Europa didn't have weather like Earth, but it had something worse. Radiation storms from Jupiter. When Jake's emergency alert started beeping, he knew they were in trouble. We need to get to the shielded room in the center of the station, Jake explained, grabbing emergency supplies. Jupiter's radiation can be deadly during storms like this. The shielded room was tiny, barely big enough for 2 people to sit down. As the storm hit, all the lights went out except for the emergency power. The whole station shook and groaned as waves of radiation pounded the moon's surface. How long will this last? Kira asked, her natural glow now the only light in the small space. Could be hours, Jake said. Maybe all night. In the cramped quarters, they sat close together on the floor. Jake realized that for the first time, being near Kira felt completely natural. Her warm glow was comforting in the darkness, and her presence made him feel less scared about the dangerous storm raging outside. Tell me about your home, Jake said, wanting to distract them both from the scary sounds outside. Kira's eyes lit up, literally. When she got excited, the star-like sparkles in her eyes got brighter. Lyros is beautiful. We have cities made of living crystal that grow from the ground like trees. The crystal changes color with the seasons. Purple in spring, gold in summer, silver in winter. That sounds amazing. What about your family? Kira's glow dimmed sadly. I miss them very much. My parents are crystal growers, and my little brother just started learning to sing to the machines. Sing to machines? Yes, our technology responds to certain sounds and frequencies. We sing to make it work. To demonstrate, Kira hummed a soft, beautiful melody. Her scanner device immediately lit up and began floating gently in the air. Jake stared in amazement. That's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Would you like me to teach you? Human voices might work too. For the next hour, Kira patiently tried to teach Jake how to make her devices respond to sound. He couldn't make them float like she could, but he did manage to make her scanner change colors by humming different notes. You're a natural, Kira said, clapping her hands together with delight. As the storm continued, they shared more stories. Jake told Kira about Earth's oceans and forests, and she described the warm lakes of her home planet where people would swim together under two purple suns. I've never seen an ocean, Kira said wistfully. Is it true that Earth's water tastes different in different places? Yeah. Ocean water is salty, but lake water is fresh, and mountain streams are the coldest and clearest water you'll ever taste. I would love to try mountain stream water someday. During a particularly loud crash of radiation outside, Kira instinctively reached for Jake's hand. This time, he didn't hesitate to take it. Her hand was warm and slightly tingly, like touching a gentle electric current. Are you scared? Jake asked. A little, but less scared with you here. Yeah, me too. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, still holding hands. Jake found himself studying Kira's face in the soft glow of her skin. She really was beautiful, in a completely alien but somehow familiar way. Jake? Kira's voice was quiet. Yeah? On my planet, when people become close friends, they share their most important memory with each other. Would you like to try this human custom with me? Jake thought about it. Okay. You go first. Kira closed her eyes and concentrated. Suddenly, the air around them shimmered, and Jake could see images forming, like watching a movie made of light and color. He saw crystal cities gleaming under purple skies and a family of glowing beings working together in a garden of living gems. That's my family's crystal garden, Kira explained as the images faded. It's where I learned everything about growing technology. It's my happiest memory. How did you do that? Show me the pictures? Lyrians can share memories through touch and concentration. It's how we truly get to know each other. Jake was amazed. I can't do anything like that. Humans just have to use words to share memories. Words can be just as powerful, Kira said gently. Tell me your most important memory, Jake thought carefully. When I was 8 years old, my dad took me camping in the mountains. It was just the two of us under the stars. He taught me all the constellation names and told me that someday humans might travel to those stars and meet other people from other worlds. That night made me want to become a space explorer. Your father sounds wise. Is that why you came to this lonely place? Yeah, I wanted to discover new life in the universe. I just never imagined it would crash land right outside my door. Kira laughed, a sound like musical bells. And I never imagined the first human I met would be so kind and patient with my strange ways. The storm was finally starting to calm down outside. The radiation alerts were getting quieter, and the station had stopped shaking. But neither Jake nor Kira made any move to leave the small shielded room. I should probably check the equipment, Jake said, but he didn't let go of Kira's hand. Probably, Kira agreed, but she didn't move either. They stayed there in the gentle glow of her bioluminescence, comfortable in each other's presence. Jake realized that somewhere between the blanket walls and the shared stories, Kira had stopped being a strange alien and had become simply his friend, his very special friend. When they finally emerged from the shelter, Jake felt like something had changed between them. They worked together even more smoothly than before, anticipating each other's needs and movements like they'd been partners for years instead of days. As they settled down to sleep that night, Jake noticed that the blanket wall had gotten even smaller. Neither of them mentioned it, but both of them seemed okay with being a little closer than before. "Good night, Kira," Jake said softly. "Good night, Jake. Thank you for sharing your important memory with me. Thank you for showing me yours. It was beautiful." As Jake drifted off to sleep, he found himself hoping that the repairs would take a little longer than expected. He wasn't ready for Kira to leave just yet. On the fifth morning, Jake woke up to find something that made his heart skip a beat. The blanket wall was completely gone. Not fallen down or pushed aside, completely removed. And Kira was sleeping peacefully right next to him, her hand resting gently on his arm, but the strangest part was that Jake wasn't panicking anymore. Somehow, it felt perfectly natural to wake up next to his glowing alien friend. When had that happened? When had he stopped thinking of her as an alien and started thinking of her as just Kira? She stirred and opened those beautiful starry eyes. "Good morning, Jake. I hope you don't mind. I removed the barrier. It seemed silly to keep pretending we needed it." "I don't mind," Jake said, realizing he truly meant it. "Actually, I slept really well." Kira's glow brightened with happiness. "I'm so glad. On Lyros, we believe that when people can rest peacefully, together, it means their spirits are in harmony." After breakfast, they received an unexpected message on the communication system. It wasn't from Earth. It was from somewhere else entirely. The signal was strange and musical, and when Kira heard it, her face went pale. "What is it?" Jake asked, worried by her reaction. "It's from my people," Kira whispered. "They're looking for me." The message was in Kira's language, but she translated it for Jake as it played. "Calling Kira of the Crystal Gardens. This is the search vessel Star Whisper. We have been tracking your emergency beacon. Please respond with your location and status." Jake watched Kira's face carefully. She looked happy but also scared. "That's good news, right? Your people found you." "Yes, but..." Kira trailed off, looking conflicted. "But what?" "They will want me to return with them immediately, and they might not understand about you, about us being friends. My people are very cautious around other species." Jake felt his heart sink. He'd known this moment would come eventually, but he wasn't ready for it. "You have to go with them, Kira. They're your family." "I know, but I don't want to leave you alone here." They spent the day preparing for the arrival of Kira's people while working on the final repairs to her ship. The work felt different now, sadder somehow, knowing it might be the last time they'd work together as a team. "Your ship is almost completely fixed," Jake said, running his hand along the smooth hull. "Your people will be impressed." "You helped fix it," Kira pointed out. "You should be proud too." As evening approached, Jake found himself asking questions he'd been curious about, but hadn't dared to ask before. "Kira, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course. We're friends." Friends can ask each other anything. Do you have someone special? Waiting for you back home? Someone you love romantically? Like we talked about before? Kira was quiet for a long moment. No, I have never found anyone whose spirit harmonizes with mine. On Lyros, we believe that happens very rarely, maybe once in a lifetime. She looked at Jake curiously. Do you have someone special on Earth? No. I've always been too focused on my work to think about that stuff. Besides, it's hard to meet people when you're living alone on a moon. They both laughed, but there was something sad in the sound. That night, as they prepared for bed, Kira seemed nervous about something. She kept glancing at Jake like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. What's wrong? Jake asked gently. I want to ask you something, but I'm afraid you'll think it's too strange. Kira, you're a glowing alien who can make machines float by singing to them. I'm pretty much okay with strange at this point. She smiled at that. I want to try something my people do when we care deeply about someone, but it might be too much for human customs. What is it? We share warmth not just with our bodies, but with our emotions. It's called heart glowing. I would show you how I truly feel about our friendship. Jake thought about it. Everything about Kira's culture had seemed strange at first, but he'd learned that her ways of showing care were actually beautiful, just different from his own. Okay, he said. Show me. Kira moved closer to Jake on the bed, close enough that he could feel the gentle warmth from her skin. She placed one hand over his heart and one over her own. Close your eyes and just feel, she whispered. Jake closed his eyes. At first, he just felt the warmth of her touch, but then something amazing happened. He could feel what Kira was feeling, her happiness when she looked at him, her gratitude for his kindness, her sadness about having to leave, and something else. Something deeper and warmer that made his own heart beat faster. Whoa, Jake breathed, opening his eyes. Is that how you feel about me? Kira nodded, her glow soft and warm. Is it too much? No, it's... Jake searched for the right words. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. I wish I could show you how I feel. The same way. You already do, Kira said softly. Every time you're patient with my differences, every time you include me in your human customs, every time you make me feel safe and cared for. Humans show their feelings through actions, and your actions tell me everything. They sat there in the gentle glow of her bioluminescence. Hands, still over each other's hearts. Jake realized that what he was feeling was more than just friendship. Kira had become incredibly important to him in just a few days. The thought of her leaving felt like losing a piece of himself. Kira, he said quietly. Yes? I know we've only known each other for 5 days, but I feel like I've known you my whole life. Is that crazy? On Lyros, we believe that some spirits are meant to find each other across the stars. Maybe distance and time don't matter when two people truly connect. Jake looked into her sparkling eyes. What are we going to do when your people come? I don't know. But I know I don't want this to end. Maybe it doesn't have to, Jake said, an idea forming in his mind. Maybe there's a way for both our peoples to meet peacefully. You could be like an ambassador. Kira's eyes widened with excitement. You mean stay here and help our species become friends? Why not? You've already proven that humans and Lyrians can get along perfectly. More than perfectly, Kira said, her glow getting brighter with hope. They talked late into the night about possibilities, about ways their peoples could meet and learn from each other, about sharing technology and culture, about building bridges between worlds. As they finally settled down to sleep, there was no awkwardness about sharing the bed anymore. It felt as natural as breathing. Kira curled up close to Jake, and he gently put his arm around her, amazed at how right it felt. Jake? Kira's voice was soft in the darkness. Yeah? Whatever happens tomorrow, I want you to know that meeting you has been the best thing that ever happened to me. Same here, Kira. Same here. As Jake fell asleep with his alien friend warm and safe in his arms, he made a decision. He wasn't going to let fear or custom or anything else keep them apart. Somehow, some way, he was going to fight for what they had found together. Because some connections really are worth crossing the stars for. Jake woke up to the sound of engines humming outside the station. His heart jumped. Kira's people had arrived. He looked down at Kira, still sleeping peacefully in his arms, her skin glowing softly like moonlight on water. In a few hours, everything might change forever. Kira, he whispered gently. They're here. She opened her eyes and listened to the familiar sound of Lyrian ships. The Star Whisper, she said, sitting up. My cousin Zephyr is the pilot. He's very protective of family. Through the station window, Jake could see 3 beautiful ships landing gracefully on the ice. They looked like giant crystals with wings, glowing with the same soft light as Kira's skin. Figures were emerging from the ships, tall, elegant beings who moved like dancers. Are you ready for this? Jake asked, taking Kira's hand. I'm nervous, she admitted. They've never met a human before. What if they don't understand our friendship? Then we'll help them understand. Together. They put on their spacesuits and walked outside to meet the visitors. The Lyrians were even more beautiful than Jake had imagined. Their skin came in different colors: silver, gold, pale green, soft purple, all glowing gently in the dim light of Europa. When they saw Jake, they stopped moving and began talking rapidly to each other in their musical language. One of them, slightly taller than the others with silver skin like Kira's, stepped forward. This had to be Zephyr. Kira of the Crystal Gardens, he said in English, though his accent was much thicker than Kira's. We have searched many star systems for you. Are you harmed? I am perfectly safe, cousin, Kira replied, moving to stand beside Jake. This is Jake, the human who saved my life and helped repair my ship. Zephyr looked at Jake with curiosity and maybe a little suspicion. Human, we are grateful for your assistance to our family member. We will now take her home safely. Actually, Kira said, her glow brightening with determination, I have a proposal for our people. I think we should establish peaceful contact with the humans. The other Lyrians began glowing brighter and talking excitedly among themselves. Zephyr raised his hand for silence. Kira, you have been alone too long. It has affected your judgment. These humans are unknown to us. They could be dangerous. Jake isn't dangerous, Kira said firmly. He's kind and honorable. He protected me when he could have turned me over to his government. He shared his home and food with me. He even learned some of our customs. Jake stepped forward. With respect, sir, Kira has taught me that not all differences are things to fear. Maybe our peoples could learn from each other. Zephyr studied Jake carefully. You speak boldly for one so young. What makes you think humans and Lyrians could coexist peacefully? Because Kira and I already have, Jake said simply. We've shared the same space, worked together, solved problems together. We've learned that friendship can cross any boundary if people are willing to try. One of the other Lyrians, an elderly female with golden skin, stepped forward. I am Elder Lumina. Young human, show us your hands. Jake looked confused but held out his hands. Elder Lumina took them gently in her own glowing fingers and closed her eyes. After a moment, her eyes opened wide with surprise. This one speaks truth, she announced to the others. His spirit carries no darkness, no intention to harm. And more than that, she looked back and forth between Jake and Kira with growing amazement. These two have formed a harmony bond. All the Lyrians began glowing brighter and talking at once. Zephyr looked shocked. What's a harmony bond? Jake asked. Kira's face was glowing so brightly she looked like a small star. It's what I tried to explain before. When two spirits connect so deeply that they become like two parts of one song. It's very rare, even among our own people. You mean? Jake began. It means you were meant to find each other, Elder Lumina said kindly. The universe brought you together across impossible distances for a reason. Zephyr still looked uncertain. Even if this is true, we cannot simply trust an entire species based on one individual. Then don't, Jake said, surprising everyone. Let me come with you. Let me meet your people and show them that humans can be trusted. Kira can come back to Earth with me later and do the same with my people. Jake, no, Kira said quickly. If you leave with us, you might never see your home again. Space is vast, and the journey is dangerous. Some things are worth the risk, Jake said, looking into her sparkling eyes. Besides, you took the same risk when you crashed here. Fair is fair. Elder Lumina smiled. The young human has wisdom, but there is another way. She touched a crystal device on her belt, and suddenly images appeared in the air above them, pictures of a beautiful planet with crystal cities and purple skies. Our homeworld is dying, she explained sadly. Our sun grows cold, and we must find new places to live. We have been searching the galaxy for worlds that could support our people. Jake's mind started racing. What kind of world do you need? 1. With abundant crystal formations, stable energy sources, and room for our cities to grow, Zephyr answered. Earth has all of that, Jake said excitedly. Huge crystal caves, geothermal energy, solar power, wind power, and lots of empty space where your people could build cities. But would your people accept us? Elder Lumina asked. Some would be scared at first, Jake admitted. But humans are explorers at heart. Most of us have always hoped we'd meet other, intelligent life someday. If you approached us peacefully, with ambassadors like Kira to help translate your culture, I think most humans would be excited to welcome you. Kira stepped closer to Jake. We could work together. I could live on Earth and help my people settle there safely. Jake could visit our temporary colonies and help establish good relationships. And if some humans or some Lyrians can't accept the arrangement, Zephyr asked. Then we deal with those problems as they come, Jake said. But we don't give up before we try. The Lyrians talked among themselves in their musical language for several minutes. Finally, Elder Lumina nodded. We will try this path, she announced. Kira will return to Earth with you as our first ambassador. I will accompany you, both to represent our people in official talks with your leaders. Jake felt his heart soar. Really? You'll both come to Earth? For now, Zephyr said, still sounding cautious. If the arrangement works well, more of our people will follow. If not... He didn't finish the sentence, but Jake understood. This was their one chance to make it work. As they prepared for the journey to Earth, Jake helped Kira pack her belongings from the station. It felt strange to be leaving the place where they'd met, but also exciting to think about starting a new adventure together. Are you sure about this? Kira asked as they sealed up Jake's research equipment. Leaving your work here? Going back to Earth where everything will be complicated? I've never been more sure of anything in my life, Jake said, taking her glowing hand in his. Besides, I think our real work is just beginning. 3 days later, Jake stood on the observation deck of the Lyrian ship, watching Earth grow larger in the view screen. Kira stood beside him, her hand warm in his, both of them nervous and excited about what lay ahead. Look, Kira whispered, pointing at the blue and green planet. It's so beautiful, like a jewel floating in space. Wait until you see the oceans up close, Jake said, and the mountains and the forests. I can't wait to show you everything. Elder Lumina joined them at the window. Your people have already agreed to meet with us at a place called the United Nations. They seem very excited about first contact. They should be, Jake said, squeezing Kira's hand. This is going to change everything for both our species. As Earth filled the view screen, Jake thought about how different his life was now compared to just a week ago. A week ago, he was a lonely researcher on a frozen moon. Now he was part of the most important diplomatic mission in human history, traveling with the person who had become the most important part of his life. Jake? Kira's voice was soft. Yeah? Thank you for taking a chance on me that first night, for being willing to learn my ways. Thank you for showing me that the universe is so much bigger and more wonderful than I ever imagined. Kira's glow brightened with happiness. Do you think we'll be able to make this work? Our peoples living together peacefully? Jake looked at their joined hands, human and Lyrian, different, but perfectly matched. If we can make it work, anyone can. And I have a feeling this is just the beginning of something amazing. As their ship entered Earth's atmosphere, Jake realized that sometimes the most incredible journeys start with the simplest moments, like offering to share your bed with a stranger who needs help. From that one act of kindness had grown a friendship that might just change the fate of two worlds. And maybe, just maybe, it would grow into something even more wonderful than that.